Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello learners, welcome to your math class. In the last class on ratio and proportion, we learned about the introduction to ratios. In this class, we are going to learn about proportions. And by the end of this class, you will be able to understand what do you mean by proportions. Then you will also know what terms are there in this word proportion. And also we'll be solving some practical problems related to it. Starting with what we mean by proportion. It says, if we say that two ratios are equal, then it is called as proportion. This is the only simple definition that you need to remember when it comes to proportion. What is it? That if the two ratios are equal, then it is called proportion. Okay. Now you can see here, I hope you do remember how do we write ratios. Ratio is written as given here, A is to B, right? This is how we write a ratio, A is to B, and also we can write this as A upon B. So we read this as A is to B. If A is to B is equal to C is to D, so this shows that these two ratios are in proportion, okay? We write this as A is to B, and then you see these symbol in between which have got 4 dots. This shows that these A and B and C and D, they are in proportion, right? This is a proportion with C is to D. Or you can also show this as A is to B is equal to C is to D. So what this basic proportion sign that we have with 4 dots represent is equal. Okay, so this particular fraction, that is A upon B, is equal to C upon D. When we are talking in terms of ratios, we call it, if they are equal, we call them, they are in proportion. Clear? And how do we read it? We read it as A is to B as C is to D. So this ratio still remains the same. So the ratio of A is to B is same as that of C is to D. I hope this is clear. Now look at this condition here. It is given, Raju went to the market to purchase tomatoes. One shopkeeper tells him that the cost of tomatoes is ₹40 for 5 kgs. Okay, so we are not given what is the cost of 1 kg. We are given the cost of 5 kgs, and that is ₹40. Now there's another shopkeeper. This another shopkeeper is saying that the cost of 6 kg is 42 rupees. Okay, what is the cost of 6 kgs? It is 42 rupees. Now, it says that if first one is saying 5 kgs for 40 rupees and the other one is saying 6 kgs for 42 rupees, how am I supposed to decide which one should I buy? Obviously, when I am buying something, I would like to buy whichever product is good and of course it is cheap to buy. Right? We always buy that particular product which we can get at a better price. For better price, I mean to our pocket, it is more affordable. Right? So what do you think? Which one Raju should buy? Should he buy 5 kgs for 40 rupees or do you think he should buy 6 kgs for 42 rupees? These are the practical problems that we can deal with if we know the concept of proportion. Okay, we will come to this. Let us first discuss the second situation. Here it says, Bhavika has 28 marbles and Vinny has 180 flowers. Okay, they want to share these among themselves. Okay, I hope it is clear. There are two girls, Bhavika and Vinny. Bhavika is having 28 marbles and Vinny is having 180 flowers. You can clearly see we are comparing two totally different things. One is marble and the other one is flowers, right? So these are two different things, but we are comparing them. They want to share these among themselves. Bhavika gave 14 marbles to Vinny. Is this clear? Bhavika, who was having 28 marbles, she gave 14 marbles to Vinny. And what did Vinny do? Vinny gave 90 flowers to Bhavika. So Vinny was having 180 flowers, out of which she gave 90 to Bhavika. Now what happened? But Vinny was not satisfied. Why? She felt that she has given more flowers to Bhavika than marbles given from Bhavika to her. So because she gave 90 flowers and she gave her 14 marbles. So she said that maybe I'm being cheated. Why? Because she thought that here Bhavika has given me so much less marbles, just 14 of them, and I have given her 90 flowers, such a big number. So what do you think? Is Winnie correct to say that? Is she saying what she's saying, that she's being cheated? Do you think she's correct to say this? Let us discuss about this. They took this problem to their mother. To solve this problem, both went to Winnie's mother. Okay? Winnie's mother's name is Pooja. Pooja explained that out of 28 marbles, Bhavika gave 14 marbles to Winnie. How much was with Bhavika? How many marbles were there? Total 28. And out of 28, how many marbles did she give to Winnie? 14 marbles. So what is the ratio of it? Its ratio is 1:2. That means she has given half of the marbles to Winnie. Okay. So Bhavika, who is having 28 marbles, after giving 14, she's just left with half of the number of marbles she was having. Now let us look how much Winnie has given. Winnie, who is having 180 flowers with her, she gave 90 flowers to Bhavika, right? So if we find the ratio, again what we see is the ratio 1/2. That means both the ratios are same, so the distribution is fair. I hope it is clear that because what we did, we compared the two ratios, and how did we compare them? We compared them by the number of marbles she had and the number of marbles she gave away. Similarly, we did with the number of flowers she had to the number of flowers she gave away. And in both the cases, we see that the answer we have got is 1/2. That is 1:2. So, because both the ratios are same, we can say that the distribution is fair. Now, let us see one example. It says if a man runs at a speed of 20 kilometers in 2 hours, then with the same speed, would he be able to cross 40 kilometers in 4 hours? Let us see if we are going to get this in the ratio or not, in the proportion or not, right? So let us find the ratio. Let us find the ratio of speed. Okay. So let us first find out what is the speed. Okay. I hope you do remember what is the formula to find speed. It is distance per hour, or we can say it is distance over time. So we are going to find the speed in kilometers per hour. So how many kilometers he is running at first? He is running 20 kilometers in 2 hours, right? In 2 hours he is running 20 kilometers. So it is 10 kilometers per hour. Okay. Now let us see what is his speed in the second case. In the second case here, let me write here first, and this is the second case. Okay. So here, how much is it? He crosses 40 kilometers in 4 hours, right? Let us just compare it once, and then we'll do it again with the method of finding with the proportion. Okay. Then we'll do with the ratios. Right now, we are just finding the answer. So it is 40 kilometers in 4 hours. Is that right? Now, if we solve this ratio, that is 40/4, we will find the answer as 10 kilometers per hour. Do you see in both the cases we are getting the same speed? That means this particular question is in ratio. Let us see how. Okay. Now let's solve it again. And here now what we are going to do is we are going to use the method of ratios and proportions. Okay. Let us find the ratio of distance. Okay. The ratio of distance is 20 kilometers is to 40 kilometers. And if you remember, if we are working with ratios, we need to have both the units same. But when we are writing in ratios, we don't have to write the units with it. Okay. So we'll just write 20 to 40. Okay, now if you do remember how we worked with the equivalent ratios and how we can convert it into its lowest form, right? So we can divide both these numbers 20 and 40 by 20. So 20 divided by 20 is 1 and 40 divided by 20 is 2. So what is the ratio we have got for distance? It is 1 over 2. Now let us check the ratio for time. So ratio of time. In the first one, we are given 2 hours and in the second one, we are given 4 hours. So this is in hours, and because this is a ratio, we are not going to write any unit with it. Okay. So now we can simplify this particular given ratio. It comes out to be 1:2. So do you see that in both the cases, we have got 1 over 2 as the answer? So because in both the cases, we can see that the ratios, they are equal, so we can say they are in proportion. Okay, now moving to the next one. It is saying that sharing a ratio means something. What is it? Consider these examples. Raj purchased 3 pens for 15 rupees. Anu purchased 10 pens for 50 rupees. Whose pens are more expensive? Look again. 3 pens for rupees 15. 10 pens for rupees 50. Whose pens are more expensive? To find the answer to this question, let us use the method of ratio and proportion. Ratio of number of pens purchased by Raj to the number of pens purchased by Anu is 3:10. Is this clear? We are comparing the ratio of pens at first. So it is 3:10. Now, ratio of the cost of these pens. So 3 pens was for rupees 15 and 10 pens is for rupees 50. So the ratio is 15:50, or we can write it in the simplest form as 3:10. Okay. Now see, in both the cases we have got the ratio as 3:10 and 3:10. Look at here, 3:10, and here also 3:10. As both the ratios are equal, therefore the pens were purchased at the same price. Is this clear? How we have found that which of these pens we have found out is costlier, but what we see after calculating the ratio was that because both the ratios are 3:10, therefore each of the pen is of same price. So Raj is purchasing these pens and each of them is of same price. So no pen here is more expensive compared to the other. Okay. Now let us look at this particular case. It says Rahim sells 2 kg of apples at 180 rupees. Okay. 2 kg apples for 180 rupees. And Roshan sells 4 kg apples at 360 rupees. Okay, it's clear. We are considering 2 people, Rahim and Roshan. Rahim is selling apples at a price of 180 for 2 kgs and Roshan is selling for 360 4 kgs. Okay, so now let us see whose apples are more expensive. Okay, so because the ratio of the weight of apples, that is 2 kgs to 4 kg, is 1/2. And the cost of the ratio of their cost is 180:360, and it comes out to be 1:2 as well. So what do you see? We notice that the ratio of the weights of the apple is equal to the ratio of their cost. Since both the ratios are equal, hence we can say that these are in proportion. They are selling the apples at the same rate. Is that clear? If 2 ratios are equal, we say that they are in proportion and we use the symbol of these 4 dots, or we can put an equals to sign to equate the 2 ratios. I hope this makes sense. It's clear to you. Now look at here. It says a man travels 35 kilometers in 2 hours. Okay. With the same speed, would he be able to travel 70 kilometers in 4 hours? We can check this by using the method of ratio and proportion. Let us write it down. First of all, we'll write the ratio of distances. Okay, so the ratio of distances is 35 kilometers. It's 70 kilometers. Now we don't write the units when we are writing the ratio, so it will be just 35 is to 70. Right? Now both these numbers are divisible by 35, so it comes out to be 1 is to 2. Now let us check what is the ratio of time. Okay, let us see what is the ratio of time taken. In the first case, it is 2 hours and this is to 4 hours. On comparing the two, we get 2 is to 4, or we can write this in the simplest form as 1 is to 2. Clearly, we can see that both the ratios are equal. Therefore, the given case is in proportion. Therefore, the man can, here the question is, with the same speed, would he be able to? This was the question. So the answer is yes, he will be able to travel 70 kilometers in 4 hours because the given ratio of distance to the ratio of time is in proportion. Okay, let me say this sentence again. It is asking us that with the same speed, would he be able to travel 70 kilometers in 4 hours? We are saying the answer, yes, he can travel 70 kilometers in 4 hours because the ratio of distance to the ratio of time taken are in proportion. Okay. Now, let us see this one. Cost of 2 apples is 180 and 5 kg watermelon cost 45. Let us find what is the, which out of these two is more expensive. So finding the ratio of their cost. Okay, so it is 2 kg. Now first of all we need to find what is the ratio of the weight. Okay, so we are going to find the ratio of weight. It is 2 kgs and the other one is 5 kgs. Okay, now 2 is to 5 is written as in the simplest form, so we cannot simplify it further. Now let us find the ratio of their cost. So it is equal to rupees 180 is to rupees 45. Okay, so now clearly what we see is that if we are solving this and simplifying it further, both these numbers are divisible by 5. So let us first divide it by 5. So this will come out to be 3 and 6 and this will come out to be 9. Both these numbers are divisible by 9. So let us further simplify it. This will be, we have 9 times 4 as 36 and 9 times 1 is 9. So what do we notice here? We notice that the two given ratios, that is 2 is to 5, is not equal to 4 is to 1. Why? Because 2 kg apples is 4 times costlier than compared to 5 kg of watermelon. Okay, so watermelon is very cheap compared to the price of apples. And what we have written in the form of proportion, ratio and proportion is that 2 is to 5, that is the ratio of weight of the apples and watermelon to that of the ratio of the cost of apples and watermelons. They are not in ratio, they are not in proportion because their ratios are not equal. Okay, and with this I just remember that we have got one question left to be solved here. Okay, I hope you do remember we discussed about what Raju is. When Raju went to the market to buy tomatoes, one of the sellers said that I am selling at 40 rupees for 5 kgs and the other one said that I am taking 42 rupees for 6 kgs. Let us find out who is selling at the cheaper price. Okay, so if I am finding the ratio of weight, so it is 5 is to 6. I am comparing this one to this 5 kg for 40 to 6 kg for 42. Okay, now let us compare the price. So it is 40 over 42. We can simplify this. It is 20 over 21, right? Now we cannot simplify it further. right? So what do we do in such case? Do you remember how we can compare the two ratios? We can compare the two ratios by doing cross multiplication also. Okay, so let us write it here. Instead of here, I'll just write it here. It's 20 over 21. Clearly, one thing that we see is that this particular numbers, these particular ratios, we cannot solve them further. So we are going to multiply them and we are going to cross multiply them. So we are going to do 5 times 21 and we are going to do 6 times 20. So what do we see? We see 5 times 21 is, so it's 5 and 105, and 6 times 20 is 120. So what do we see? We see that the ratios are not equal. So there we see that they are not in proportion. So definitely we can clearly say that this particular 6 kgs for 42 rupees is what is cheap. Okay, so if Raju wants to buy at a cheaper price, he will go for 6 kgs, that is for 42 rupees. Okay,